Good evening, everybody. I want to talk about a couple things really quick. I'm going to do two quick videos. The first video I want to talk about is the license plate things. When I talk about it, these what they are vanity plates that people use. Okay, first of all, you have to. Okay, if you're someone who doesn't get a vanity plate on their car, a vanity plate is a plate that says something. Like you might have your last name on it. I have my last name on my license plate in my car. That's a vanity plate. You can have vanity plates that say all kinds of things. You can get a vanity plate that says anything, pretty much, as long as it fits in the words in the back of your car. You can also get your license plate. You can also get the words to say longer sentences if you if you use acronyms. So there's ways of having. I'm not going to say messages. Well, they basically are a message. It becomes a message when you want someone to see it, to see your vanity plate. So when I got my vanity plate, I never thought about driving my car in front of people purposely to make them see what my license plate says in the back of my car. In Michigan, we only have vanity plates on the back. We only have license plates on the backs of our cars. We don't have them in the front. So it must be a game that some people play when they get their vanity plate. Is they and I'm just starting to think about this. They must like to drive in front of people with the vanity plate and what it says. And sometimes it can say mean things. Sometimes it can say fun things. I guess. And if you don't know that this is happening, if you don't see this or realize this, then you'll never even know it. But especially if you start talking about it, like I have been, because at first I didn't know what it meant. It can be kind of a little bit confusing. It can be, like I said, it can seem like people are picking on you. You don't know what it means exactly. But you got to understand that they can also do this. When they do this, it also can mean all kinds of other things. For instance, people can do it in political ways. Like let's say if you get a license plate that says DC on it, it could mean Washington DC. So you can be driving. You could purposely want to drive your car. Now again, I'm not going to try to understand why people do these things, but people do this out of boredom, out of political reasons. They get vanity plates and then they drive their car with their special license plate in front of people who they know who they know people who are involved in certain situations. If you're just a quiet person who's minding your own business, who doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, I don't think anyone's really going to do that to you. But if you're somebody that makes some noise in the world, and people see you, there are groups of people, I'm not sure who these groups of people are, that probably talk about you at their parties and gatherings, and there's just they get a charge out of doing that, getting in front of you and with their car and their vanity plate, and making you see what it is. It's a way of, it's a I don't know what you'd call it. I notice it's mostly men, some women. It's a way of trying to be dominant. I don't know. That's the best thing I can say about it. So for everyone who doesn't even know that this is a reality of the world, when you hear me talking about this, you might think I'm kind of crazy about it, or I'm seeing things. Well, I'm not seeing things. I mean, let me give you an example. If I'm a University of Michigan person, and then there's a Michigan State person, what a rivalry that is. Well, I think it makes quite a bit of sense probably to think that those people will drive in front of other people who they know are Michigan fans or Michigan State fans, and they'll drive in front of another car if they see that it's a Michigan fan to show them their Michigan State license plate, and that gets people going. That gets their juices flowing. That's the way they kind of act. That's the way they act amongst each other. I went to a small Division III school, so I never even experienced anything like that. But but you have to understand, if you're a Michigan or Michigan State fan, and if you went to that university, that's a big part of the whole college experience for you, is that rivalry, that bitterness you have when you see the other fan. I never experienced that. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. So there are people out there that experience things like that in different circumstances, different rivalries. Maybe they come from big families where families dispute things and they have funny ways of bullying each other. It's a form of bullying. It's a form of, you can also look at it as a form of friendship. However, it can be confusing. It can also be a little bit of mind control when people are doing things, when they're trying to tell you to go places and buy things. That's when it can be a little bit bullying and kind of confusing. So when I talk about this, people, also political things. For instance, when the car pulled in front of me today, when I first got to Traverse City, and the license plate, I took a picture of it. It said MADD, and then it had a couple other letters. Well, that MADD spells mad, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Well, I don't drink and drive. However, while I was on my trip, I mentioned how I got an impaired driving back in 2001. So now that I'm living in Traverse City, there are people out there that are so bitter and they're so, it's such a passionate cause for them to have great anger and resentment against anyone that ever drink and drive. Even though many people do, and many don't get caught, but then I got an impaired driving in Leelanau County when I was stuck in a snowdrift in a blizzard in 2001, and shouldn't have been driving. I was half a mile from my house. So all circumstances aren't really understood, other than the fact that I did get an impaired driving. But that's not the point. The point is when I got to Traverse City today, the car pulled in front of me with an MADD license plate. And what that person was doing was maybe telling me that he knows that I had my drunk driving, and he's kind of scolding me. He's kind of But he also could be helping me in the sense that I just drove 11,000 miles and I don't drink and drive at all anymore, and that's that. So those are the types of things that people will do with their license plates, that when I talk about these things, I have no one else to talk to about them. So when I mention them on Facebook, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't heard of people using their license plates or even their bumper stickers, if you're a Michigan or Michigan State fan, to kind of get underneath someone's skin, if you don't know that, then when I talk about these things, it might seem very odd to you hearing me talk about it. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit now why. And when I talk about, I'll let the police know you're doing this. I don't think the police are going to come I don't think the police are going to come arrest anybody or question anyone about it. But if I put a tag on the picture that I take of someone's license plate that pulls up in front of me, maybe the police will have a better sense of who that person is. Because if people are driving around sporadically, trying to get in front of people's cars to show them their license plates, that is kind of a sporadic way of driving. It can be a kind of a what's the word for it? Right, it's kind of a reckless form of driving in a way, because you're not supposed to be doing that. And and that person that's driving that license plate that wanted me to see his MADD, he's kind of recklessly driving. So you're not supposed to be doing that. So again, so that's kind of where I'm coming from. And just by me tagging cars with the Traverse City Police Department that do this, hopefully it's a way to stop these people from recklessly driving, recklessly trying to get in front of me, speeding up, driving fast. I'm sure there's been accidents caused in this area from people doing that. And this is not just to me. This is to many other people that people do this type of thing too. Again, it's just something that happens, and I didn't know.
Turn right onto South Division Street, then turn right onto West 8th Street.
I didn't know that people even did anything like this until recently. So
head north on South Division Street toward West 8th Street, then turn right onto West 8th Street.
So it's new to me. I think it happened to me. The reality of this happened to me when I went to Norway and got a Norwegian license plate, because then all of a sudden now I had something to compare my original license plate to, because before I was always just a Michigander and I never had a license plate in any other state. So I never had anything else to compare what it was I had to. So people knew this when I came back, and they knew that when I came back, I would have this new way of looking at things. So that's why they took advantage of it, and that's the rest of the story.